We are seeing new traffic camera video this morning showing the moments before the bridge collapse in Baltimore. If you take a look, you can see there on the right side of your screen, the lights flashing there. Those are the construction vehicles blinking on the bridge. And you can also see in your bottom right, the lights from that huge cargo ship. The video cuts off just before the bridge falls into the water. Video like this, of course, will help investigators as they're trying to figure out all of the details of exactly how this happened. CNN went on a ship simulator to recreate the moments leading up to the collision. Here's CNN's Miguel Marquez.
So we are on a cargo ship about the same size as the Dolly, but we are navigating San Francisco Harbor in this case. This is all a simulation, but we have a real captain, Captain Morgan McManus, who is going to walk us through possibly what could have happened in a total blackout situation, as you call it, aboard the Dolly.
Yes, so we have a cadet simulating the mate on watch. We have another cadet on the helm. Go left 15, please.
And the Dolly would have lost both propulsion and steering?
At a full blackout, they would have lost everything.
Full blackout,
yes.
You call it?
Right, so we could run the blackout right now from the control room. So there we go. Alarms will start going off on the bridge. Start getting alarms. The mate on watch is going to try to figure out what the alarm is. The engine room is now calling to tell us what's going on.
Bridge, mate on watch.
And in this situation where you can see the pylon coming and you know it is disaster, can you drop the anchor? What are the, you guys trained for these scenarios?
Right. You're gonna try to do everything you can to stop from hitting it, whether it's running the engine full astern to take the speed off. We've already come down to almost stopped in the water now. And then you would be letting the anchors out. If we couldn't get the speed off the vessel, you can lower both anchors down and have them drag or kedge along the bottom to create resistance to slow the ship down. But for that to work, you need time and you need distance. The captain's going to be dealing with the engine room and getting on the phone and figuring out what's going on. So they would be going over, grab it.
Room
right.
Would be the, I think that's where the real chaos
That's where the real chaos is. So now if they call back and say we have power, the first thing we're going to do is then go emergency full astern to try to stop this.
Because it looks like they do establish power just
right.
before they hit the pylon,
yes.
before they hit the bridge.
A billow of smoke comes out. They start trying to go astern, get the speed off.
This must have been high anxiety at this point on the bridge, trying to deal with this.
Oh, and incredibly stressful. Watching that first video clip, when I saw the total power go out on the ship, I knew there was a major problem going on.
So one other thing we wanted to show you was what it would look like at night. We shot the simulation during the day so we could see everything, but this is much more what it would have looked like for the Dolly in Baltimore Harbor. It complicates things at night, I take it.
It does. You have you need the bridge dark so you could see the lights outside, but you also have ambient light from the skyline or the terminal coming in. It also in darkness, you lose some depth perception, which makes it a little challenging to actually judge your distances as well. So it complicates moving around the bridge at night.
And this is, you teach at State University, New York, Maritime College. I take it what happened in Baltimore Harbor will be studied for decades.
It will. It'll become one of those tragic accidents that we take lessons learned from, and then we apply them to what we're teaching the students of what to do in an emergency on the bridge of a ship.
And Miguel is with us now. That was so instructive to be able to see it from the perspective of the captain, and anxiety provoking.
It was stressful for me to be in there when he was trying to direct these cadets, and that information from the engineering room is what they were trying to get more than anything. That they will be looking for from the black boxes, but more importantly, all the metrics from all the different systems on the ships. And as they said in the press conference like last night, they may not have a lot of that information, but what systems were going up, what systems were going down, when they were, and why is what they will study that for decades to come.
The timing of all this, it was interesting to hear the captain say the timing was so crucial because they could have dropped the anchors and dragged slowly to try to get out of the way.
If they had a half mile more to try to stop, that may have made it all the difference. If they were a quarter mile further along and could have cleared the bridge, they would have been in the Chesapeake, and that would have been a different story. It was just horrendous timing.
Miguel Marquez, thank you so much. It's a really good piece. CNN's Gabe Cohen is live from Baltimore for us. Gabe, what are investigators learning about the final moments before the collapse, since they now do have a hold of the black box?
Yeah, that's right, Sarah. And they have analyzed that data recorder, that black box that you're referencing, and they've put together a much better timeline of how this all unfolded, this catastrophe. And we have learned that the problems really started just 45 minutes after that ship left the terminal. That's when alarms started going off on the ship as that pilot was experiencing a total blackout. They were losing power and the ability to steer, and the pilot began calling for help, asking for tugboats to assist, dropping a port anchor, trying to slow down the vessel because they just couldn't steer it. Eventually, they sent out that Mayday request, which told police they needed to shut down traffic to the bridge, keep cars off of it. But within 2 minutes before they could even reach the 8 construction workers who were on top of the bridge, the ship ran into the column of the bridge and caused it to collapse. The big question now, Sarah, as investigators continue their work today, interviewing those pilots again, is what caused those problems, what caused the issues and that power outage. A couple of the questions that have been raised was the possibility of contaminated fuel in the vessel or maybe some sort of electrical issue. But the NTSB at this point has pushed back on that, saying they want to continue their investigation, which could take a couple weeks.
Gabe Cohen, thank you very much for your reporting there. Let me ask you this, as they're looking at this, do they give you any sort of timeline about how difficult, for example, it is just to get some of these details? Yes, they have the data recorders, but you're also looking at this mangled mess that's down into 50 feet of water. What are they telling you about that?
Well, Sarah, it's going to take a lot of time. They're bringing in big equipment, cranes, barges, to pull out all of that debris, to cut up the steel and remove it. And officials have said once that is done, they are going to get down there and find those 4 remaining construction workers and bring closure to their families. But it could take time. And I do want to clarify, the NTSB has said the full investigation could take a couple of years, but they're hoping to have preliminary info in the next couple of weeks. Sarah?
All right, Gabe Cohen, thank you so much for your reporting out there.
CNN's Maria Santana has been talking to the families of the victims. She is in Baltimore for us this morning. Maria, what are you hearing?
Yeah, hi, how are you, John? Well, it has been incredibly heartbreaking to speak to these families throughout every stage of this. First, the initial shock of what happened, and then those that were clinging on to hope, hoping that a miracle would happen, and of course, the realization that as the hours and days went by, that just seemed less and less possible. What we know is that 2 bodies were recovered. Authorities have identified one of them as Dorlian Castillo Cabrera. He is a 26-year-old from Guatemala. CNN has been able to speak to his family members. They say that he had been working for this construction company for 3 years and that he absolutely loved his job. He was one of 2 Guatemalans killed in this incident. The other body that was recovered was that of Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes. He is 35 years old, from Mexico, one of 2 Mexicans killed. We do not have that much information about him. We spoke yesterday with the press secretary for the U.S. Embassy here in Washington, and they said that these families have asked for privacy and that they are trying to respect those wishes. The other immigrant worker that was killed is Miguel Luna. He is from El Salvador. He is a father to 3 children, but his family also told us that he has 3 stepchildren. Maynard Suazo Sandoval, he is a 38-year-old from Honduras. He has 2 children, and we were able to speak to his family members. He was a construction worker, but also an entrepreneur who had established several businesses here and in Honduras. And we spoke to his brother, Carlos Suazo Sandoval, yesterday, and he told us why it was so important for these families that the recovery efforts continue. Let's listen.
They have found cars, but they have not yet moved any cars because there is a lot of steel framework. And they must be careful because they are human beings. Even if lifeless, we, the family members, need them to rescue the bodies, at least to see them and have them handed over to my family, his entire family. He was the breadwinner for his children right now. God is going to provide for us too, so we can get together as a family and see how we can help each other because at this moment, his wife is left with his girl and everything.
And John, most of these families have been gathering at what has been established as a family reunification and support center there. They have been getting updates. I was able to go in yesterday, and I can tell you that you can feel the grief and the sadness to the point where it just overwhelms you as a mere observer. So I can't even imagine what these families are going through, John.
Are these families getting any financial assistance, Maria?
Well, as we heard, a lot of them are the breadwinners for their families. We have heard from state and federal officials that they are going to do all they can to support these families. That is going to mean financial assistance at some point. As many immigrants, as you know, John, they were not only supporting family members here, but also in their home countries. Dorlian Castillo Cabrera, his dream in coming to the United States was to help his mother. So there are a lot of people that are being affected by this. And as the days and hours go on, right now they haven't thought about the economic repercussions, but this is going to be a long, long road for so many families, John.